Hey, what's up guys? Jeremy here. In this video, we will learn how object positioning works in RoboDK. Let's get started. Okay, first of all, we need to create a new station. So Control N here. Perfect. I will start by creating a first frame here right in the middle. By default, it should be created at 0, 0, 0, 0. This frame here is just to simplify the explanation. Then I want to add an object, so I'm going to go with the same cube we just added in the previous example. So I can either reopen my RoboDK library and bring it back, or I can go to File, Open Recent, and then I have my box here that I can import, and I will drag it and drop it directly on the frame 1 here. So as you already know, if I decide to move around the frame right now, the object will follow. So if I was to open the frame panel, if I move around the frame here, you can see the values updating as I'm moving around. Those will, the object that is a child of the frame 1 will follow along. If I was to move the values here, same thing will happen. If I double click the object to bring the object panel up, you will see that, I'm gonna kind of hide or reduce the size of this one here, perfect. So if you look here, you will have the position of that object. So the object position with respect to, by default, will be the parent frame, so in this case frame 1. The position of this object is 0, 0, 0, 0, perfect. Here the position of the frame is 437, 15, minus 125, okay? If I want to bring back the frame to its to 0, 0, 0, or its origin, what I can do is either enter zeros everywhere here, so that would work. Another option is to either press the 3 bars here and select reset, or I can right click the frame and select reset. So I'm using that little right click trick or shortcut all the time. Right click reset, very useful. Okay, so now the object is at 0 with respect to the frame, and the frame is at 0 with respect to the station origin. Perfect. So here you can see that the object is at 0 with the frame, but the frame is kind of right in the middle. Why is that? This is because the origin of that part, or the 0, 0, 0 of that part, most likely when it was created in the CAD software, was right in the middle of it. So that origin got kind of transferred to RoboDK here when we imported it. So that means that in this case here, if I want to have the corner of that object here where the origin of the frame here, so if I make the object invisible, so if I want the corner here, I have two options. The first one is to move the object. So to move the object, I can simply enter some values here. So if I move forward like that, let's go for 50 in fact, and 50, and then 50. I'm kind of cheating. I know that this cube here is 100 by 100 by 100. So therefore, if the origin was right in the middle, if I move it 50, 50, 50, it will be right in the corner here. So now the object is at 50, 50, 50. It might be a bit confusing because you might see like it looks like it's at 0 and not at 50. If you want to know where the origin of an object is, you simply need to select Show Object Frame, and you will see it. So you can see here, if I click Show Object Frame and remove Show Object Frame, the object is right in the middle here. So this is the origin. So therefore, the 50, 50, 50 applies from the origin of the frame here, from the origin of frame 1 here to my origin of my object box 1 here. So that's one thing. If I bring that to 0, the other method to move this box so that the corner is where the other corner is, would be to change the origin of that part, to modify the origin. So if I hide frame 1 here, okay, and I decide to apply 50, 50, and 50 again, now I actively modified where the origin of that part is. So I'm still at 0, 0, 0 in terms of the object with respect to the frame. So the frame is right here too. But the object is now, let's say, the corner is at the 0, 0, 0 because I moved the origin. For now, it's kind of a temporary fix or modification because the numbers are still there. But if I click here, apply move, now I kind of baked in the new origin. And if I click show object here, you can see the show object frame is now at the corner like that. So now if I put this object at 50, 50, 50 with respect to frame 1 reference frame, it's kind of floating in mid-air for the same exact values as before, because the new object origin is here. So the distance in X is 50, distance in Y is 50, distance in Z is 50 here. Cool. So, excellent. Now we will go back to our station here that we created. We can do the same thing with all the objects. So if I pick up the table, double click the table to bring the object panel right here. As soon as you click on it, you will see a kind of in semi-transparent, the object frame appearing. This is because it's selected. If I click show object frame, it will appear here. One of the methods you can move the object is by pressing Alt and moving the object frame around. So as you can see here, it kind of updates the values in real time. Or you can come here and simply enter a given number, or you can use your scroll wheel to go up or down by increments of 10 millimeters. So here, in this case, we don't need to show the frame anymore. Right here we have our part. I'm gonna hide the text by pressing /. The part is part of our frame part. So if we bring the frame part is at this position right now, and the object frame is right in the middle here. So let's bring that frame at, I don't know, 650. Let's bring it at -50, and let's bring it at 50 right here. So that moves the objects by moving the frame that was the parent of that object. So as I moved the frame and not the object itself, the different targets that I created before, which were also childs of the frame part, are still where they should be. And if I run this program once more, it does work again, and I could change that to 500 here. Oops, not the right thing. I need to change the frame here, so I could move the frame to 550 instead, and simply run the program, and the program would still be run at the right spot if and only if there is no singularity, which was the case in this case. So let's instead move it further away like that here, and here it works. Perfect. So in the next video we will start attacking this station. So we will add our part, and we will start creating a program to cut out that piece of sheet metal from a bigger sheet of sheet metal. So yeah, we will import our part, we will create our path, and everything that is related to it. Hope to see you there. Have a great day, guys.